Hey everybody, welcome to the Morning Devo with Beau. Hope you guys are well today. Listening to the cool grooves until we get in to the Morning Devo. We're going to be in Revelation chapter 6 today, and my name's Beau Willette. And these are my devotions. These are just my streams, my devotions. This is what I do. I've always loved to just go through the Bible, just book by book, verse by verse, just go through it in my devotions. And I know a lot of people do devotions differently, but I've always just tended to go through it because I wasn't raised around it. So, when I picked up a Bible, it just said Genesis, and I just started reading. So, I didn't jump to the New Testament. I didn't even know what the New Testament was. If you asked me, I would have, made up something. But so I find that most of your answers about God, about this life, about the afterlife, about, even your very skeptical questions. Why do we believe there's a God? What is the evidence for God? All that it's already actually, those arguments are already in the Bible themselves. That's what's kind of mind boggling is that when you read the Bible, there's already the skeptical, even God is skeptical of Israel's gods. So I mean it's a page turner, man. It'll blow your brain. And so I just love it. And so I go through it book by book, verse by verse. I'm almost done with the New Testament once again. On the Morning Devo, we're in a famous passage, Revelation chapter 6, the four horsemen. Ready? Of course, when I think of the four horsemen, what do I think of? I think of Metallica. I think of Metallica and the four horsemen, that song. And I know you guys out there are probably like, Beau, but I know I grew up listening to that song all the time with our Metallica shirts on in junior high. And so it's hard for me to get to this chapter without thinking of the four horsemen. I'm going to read it actually in my old NIV study Bible. For some reason, I just felt like I wanted to read it from that version again. You guys know I usually use the New Living Translation in the devotion. My friend Carla Sly from Wycliffe always tells me like that's a good translation, especially for just reading through the Bible. So I've used the New Living for my devotions. But today I'm going to do a little switch, a little curveball on you, and pick up my old, study Bible. And I just love the pages of this too. I don't know if you've noticed this, but they made study Bibles back in the day. I'm talking like 20, 30 years ago. They made them with interesting paper. It was like really cool paper. It was kind of heavier and thicker. And I don't know if you've noticed that. It's like the newer style of paper that's used just seems kind of different. Do you guys notice that, or is it maybe just me? Okay. Let's get into this. Revelation chapter 6. You can check out the archives at my YouTube channel, Beau Willette. Okay, it says, I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the seven seals. Then I heard one of the four living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Wow. Okay, so the lamb that was slaughtered, this picture at the throne room of God, is worthy to open up the seals. And he opens up the first, right? And then these four living creatures, man, are like thunder, their voice. And they say, "Hey, John, come watch this." And all of a sudden there's a rider. And he's on a white horse, hence the first of the four horsemen. But notice he comes to conquer. He rides. Sounds like war. The earth be filled with war. Now, just so you know, when we go through the Hebrew Bible, these judgments that we're going to see in the book of Revelation are just a repeated. They're repetitive of prior prophecies of judgment. Even, if you will, not so much future from our day, but things that were future from their day that was going to happen to Israel. They would go through war. They would go through famine. They would go through pestilence, this kind of idea. And it's something that they experienced in history. So the reason why I keep saying in history is because sometimes people just think very figuratively of this book. But I want you to see that they're based off prior prophecies that already were fulfilled in the life of Israel, the nation of Israel. And they were literally fulfilled. Israel went through war. They went through famine. They went through pestilence. That literally happened. So I don't think we should just take it figuratively now. And so there's going to be some war going down, And so the white horse conquering doesn't sound like a good thing, because we'll see how it flows. Then the Lamb opened the second seal, and I heard the second living creature say, "Come." Then another horse came out, and a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make men slay each other. To him was given a large sword. So the other living creature, these living creatures are before God, they're creations of God, but now we see that each one of these four living creatures say, "Hey, come," and they're going to show one of the horsemen, kind of the antithesis of the four living creatures, right? They're there with God, they're kind of cool with God, they're kind of worshiping God for sure, and now you see something that's really going on the earth that is really, just not good. And what is it? It's a rider. What color is it? Fiery red. And the power was given to take peace from the earth and to make men slay each other. To him was given a large sword. A large sword taking peace from the earth sounds like, again, the idea of war, power, slay, killing, violence. Things that have plagued the planet. War, violence. Then the Lamb opened the third seal, and I heard the third living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Ooh, kind of creepy, right? The scale in his hands, right? Sometimes we get the idea of justice, Lady Liberty holding that scale. Well, here we have a different kind of person holding the scale. A black horse holding a pair of scales. And it says, "Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures saying, 'A quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine.'" It sounds like economic issues, economic problems, the economic issues of the world. Do you think the world always is dealing in the realm of economics? Yeah. There's some great books out there. Boy, there's so many neat books on economics. I'm trying to think of, there's Weber, who wrote a book, German, Weber. He's dead now, but he wrote a great book on economics that's kind of interesting. There's, Pickery, who wrote the famous book that's more modern nowadays. I forget what that's called too, but it's another really interesting book. And then there's Thomas Sowell, the modern economic professor who does a lot of videos, which is awesome. Thomas Sowell, and it looks like Sowell, Sowell maybe. But anyway, man, the world is just absolutely a supply and demand world. And obviously the earth is going to be plagued by issues of class, right? Issues of, people living differently, right? The world living, in different kind of classes. There's always class warfare that goes on, isn't there? You might think, oh man, life's so hard, so difficult. Hey, but don't damage the oil in the wine. Right? It's like, I got money to buy that, Don't damage those expensive things because I got them, It's amazing. How much money do you spend out to eat? How much money, what is your budget really like? I mean, are you really hurting? Me and my brother had this talk the other day. It's amazing how so many people complain about, gas prices. Oh, gas is up to $5. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go on vacation. Hey, gas is up $5. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go to the baseball game. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go to this, or I'm going to get this, or, it's like, are we really, do we really struggle? Or do we just like to complain? It's really interesting. Obviously, there's people that really struggle, right? That when we say struggle, I mean they really don't have money to eat. And I would imagine it is quite appalling for those people to hear people who live in a upper class complain that they can't, go buy, their oil in their wine, some expensive thing. Issues on the planet with economics, right? Then the Lamb opened the fourth seal, and I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come," and I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death and Hades. Ooh, the pale horse. So, man, you have all these different horses. You got the black, you got the white, you got the red, you got the pale. This one says, "I looked, and there before me was a pale horse, and its rider was named Death and Hades." Woo! And was following close behind him. And they were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by wild beast of the earth. Again, you could study the Bible and you'll see this isn't new stuff going on. But it certainly is dealing with something that is going to happen on a large scale. So, in the Hebrew Bible, its context is mostly surrounding the Middle East. Israel, specifically. But every now and then, in the Hebrew Bible, you get this incredible prophecy concerning the world, that Yahweh will judge the world. And now you're getting the idea that this is going down. And it says the fourth over what? All the earth this writer takes out. And he takes them out in various ways. Man, the amount of death that is quite astounding. I'll let you study it. Check out my friend at enduringword.com. It says, "Then he opened the fifth seal, and I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain." Okay, so a lot of people killed. And it says, "because of the word of God and the testimony they had maintained." So there's another idea here, and that is John is getting a picture of what's going on through this incredibly troubling time on the planet, which will also include the martyrdom of many, many believers. And it says, "And they called out in a loud voice, 'How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood?' Then each of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer until the number of their fellow servants and brothers who were to be killed as they had been was completed." Hey, there's more of martyrdom that's going to take place. The word is, hold on, it's going to happen. But notice that they cry out, "Holy," or, God, judge the inhabitants. Now, this kind of answers a question for me. Today, when I see injustice, when I see things going on, I can cry out, "God, judge this world." And that is okay to do in my prayer life with God. God, I would desire you to fix and remedy this world. And also judge those people that need to be judged, man, what they're doing. The way they connive, the way they talk about me, the way they deal with things, the way they've, handled these situations. Lord, you judge them according to your righteousness, according to your mercy. according to your grace. And see what I'm doing now? Why? Because God, you need to judge me too. And Lord, you judge me according to your mercy. I thank you for the blood of Christ that forgives me of my sins, that cleanses me, that I've passed from judgment to life. Yeah, I want judgment on the injustice of the world and those that might mistreat me too. But I also want to remember God's mercy and his patience. And boy, that's the word that these guys get. Hey, hold on. It's coming. This is specifically a time where judgment will take place, but be patient. And so we see that it's okay for us to pray in this manner. We see that this certainly is happening during this time, during these times of the unveiling of the seals. And it says, and I watched as he opened the sixth seal, and there was a great earthquake, and the sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red, and the stars in the sky fell to earth. What an interesting description, right? Of this sun turning black like sackcloth. I get that. Made of goat hair. Woo, that's kind of sounds a little rough. So I wonder what that's about. Again, maybe it lends itself to more study time if you want to delve deep, right? But we see another judgment taking place. Things that seem like they're all okay, seem like they would always be okay, now no longer okay. The earth, the sun, it says, and the stars in the sky fell to earth. Hey, those stars, they are always there. They're just always going to be there. Wrong. And it says, as late figs drop from a fig tree. Have you ever seen a fig tree shed? Man, it's unbelievable. Like how many rotten figs get on the ground and then they get squashed and they kind of are a little messy or a lot messy. And it says that that's what it'll be like. These stars will fall from the sky and they'll come to the earth as late figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. And the sky receded like a scroll rolling up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. Now, these are all structures that seem to be very consistently in their place, but it's going to be moved. It kind of reminds us that things will change. Everything's going to change. The stars, the sun, the moon, the this, the that, the mountains. When you look at mountain ranges today, when you just drive through the country and you see the different mountain ranges, you got to ask the question, hey, at some point these things came up from the ground and there they are. They weren't always there. And so it kind of beckons the question, man, what was it like? Or, when did they get this big? When you go through the Sierra Nevadas and you see just how high they are, you go, whoa, that's amazing. You go to Utah, you go to different places, Colorado, you go to Taos. Hey, Mary, Taos. You go to Taos, you see how big the mountain ranges are and you kind of get mind blown. Why? Because at one point it was flat. And then, right, subduction zone, trenches, man, and all of a sudden it comes up. My life is going to change. Your life's going to change. In the twinkling of an eye, it says we will be changed. Man, change is, always right there. Just we are one more day to that change. Change will take place. Am I okay with that? Am I ready for that? Do I love my life in this world so much where I'm not ready for change? I'm not ready for the next jump to come. I want to be ready for that jump to come when that's coming my way, that change. I want to be ready for it. I want to live light. I don't want to live heavy. I don't want to love my house so much. I don't want to love my car so much. I don't want to love my motorcycle so much. I don't want to love things on this planet so much. or I'm not ready for the change. There's only certain things that are eternal. And the motorcycle ain't one of them. It's people. That's really where my investment needs to be while I'm here. And so it says, then the kings of the earth. Okay, so the sixth trumpet, or the sixth seal is opened. And then it says, then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, oh, all you rich folk, all you people that think you're poor, but really you're rich, right? Oh, I'm so poor. Oh, I'm so poor. The economics is so rough. Hey, but I still need to go do my fun stuff, right? It's like, man, are we twisted. We got things all bent, all wrong. Yeah, the kings of the earth, they're still generals. Yeah, the rich people, yep. Slave and every free man hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. They're so delirious that they go into the things that no longer can really sustain them. Mountains are going to be moved, but yet they go to them. They try to go to the permanency of what they know to be solid, but yet there is nothing that can hold them. They go into the mountains and they call for the mountains and the rocks. Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can stand? Now I want you to get that they're both right there together. God and the Messiah, right there together, doing it, right? And that's what all the Old Testament Bible speaks of. God will judge, God will save, God will do the work, God will redeem, God will offer, God will do, God, right? How does he do it on the earth? When it's on the earth? Through the Messiah. The Messiah has a body, God in human flesh on the planet. It's going to be God. It has to be God because no one else can be worshipped other than God, whether in heaven or on the planet. Hide us from him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. The wrath of the Lamb. That's intense. That's the wrath of Jesus. When Jesus was dying on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. In the seal judgments, and during this period of time, which sounds very literal as the old judgments in the Hebrew Bible to Israel were literal. This is to the earth. Sounds pretty literal. I don't know why you would take things figuratively now. But, that people really will want to hide themselves from God. This tells me something too. And this really rings a bell for me. When I was growing up an atheist and very secular progressive, I did not want to believe in God. I did not want God to be true. I wanted to do what I wanted to do with no consequence and no accountability. The last thing I wanted was to face my own yuck. The last thing I wanted to do is look in the mirror and realize that I was the enemy, that it was me. Then when I was angry at people for being judgmental, I was judgmental. When I was angry at people for being filled with jealousy and wrath, I was the one who was filled with jealousy and wrath. When I wanted to get mad at people for their hatred, I was the one who hated. When I wanted to get mad at people for their lustful perversion, I was the pervert. I did not want to look at that at the slightest. I would go and hide in an after-hours club in Compton, to be in the dark, I mean, anywhere but in a church, anywhere but in some holy place, right? Some place with talking about God, I would hide all over the little crevices of Los Angeles, the different clubs, to hide, hide me from the accountability that is before me. Do you see what's happening in this time of tribulation? It is people, it's not that people don't want God. This is crazy. This answers a question. Will God send people to hell? Well, there's another idea here. People would rather the rocks to fall on them than to be faced with accountability before God. Meaning people like me would rather choose hell than to be hanging out with a perfect, holy God who, by his look at you, would reveal all of your dark secrets. Man. Wow. Meaning people go to hell because they don't want to come into the light. Their deeds are dark. Does that sound like the Gospel of John, chapter 3? Yeah. You know, this is the verdict. Light has come into the world. But man, the people of the earth love darkness. They don't want to go into the light that their deeds would be exposed. We'd rather choose an eternity of hell than to face perfection, the accountability, the injustice that we have brought on one another, the abominable behavior that we have done to this earth, to this planet. You know, it's like we complain, right? Oh, we got to save the planet, save the planet. But yet you fly in a plane, yet you drive cars, yet you have your lawnmower, you have this, you have that, you do this, you do that, you have an electric car, you have this. Everything's tearing it all down. You can't get out of the bubble. Something's wrong with us. And it's not good. We need redeeming. We need saving. And God's provided a way, a safe way for you to come to him. That's what Jesus is, the safe way. He is the safety net, man. He's the safe one. You can come to him. It's a soft landing, on the other side. He offers that. He holds out his hand to you and forgives you and says, "Come to me, all who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." He beckons you to come to him to get that soft landing. And it's safe. Or you can wait and you hold on to your pride, hold on to your arrogance, and then one day judgment will fall. But you will not be ready, and you will not want accountability at that time. You will have a hard heart. Man. Whew, what a Devo, right? Chapter 6 of Revelation. The 4 horsemen, the 6 seals are opened. We see what's going on in the world at this time, the things that will come after this. Remember the little outline of the book of Revelation, the future, what's going to happen in the future. It's going to be on the earth, the entire earth, not just Rome, not just Israel. It's going to be the whole planet. This is something the Hebrew Bible talks about. One day God will judge the whole world. And here we go. It's the whole world that is now going to be accountable to what we've done to one another and to the planet. Are you going to come to the Messiah and take the offering that's for you, the forgiveness that is offered through the Messiah? Whew, mind blower. Okay, that's Revelation chapter 6. Very cool, man. Love that chapter. It's got a great place in the heart. And I was so stoked to read it in my old Bible study Bible too. You guys have a great day, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.